Namaste, and welcome to our continuing series on the life divine with our beloved Ranga. We are on the chapter Indeterminates and Cosmic Determinations, very near the end of the chapter, beginning with the overmind keeps still the sense of this underlying unity.
Okay. The overmind keeps still the sense of this underlying unity. That is for it the secure base of the independent experience. In mind, the knowledge of the unity of all aspects is lost on the surface. The consciousness is plunged into engrossing, exclusive, separate affirmations. But there too, even in the mind's ignorance, the total reality still remains behind the exclusive absorption and can be recovered in the form of a profound mental intuition, or else in the idea or sentiment of an underlying truth of integral oneness. In the spiritual mind, this can develop in an ever-present experience. So, we'll go sentence by sentence and see what he's saying. The overmind, I remind you, is the plane, the highest plane when you are going from the level 1 to level 2, from the spiritual planes of consciousness. The overmind is the highest plane before you enter the third level, which is the supermind. Okay? The first level is our body-mind life, or universal matter, universal energy, or prana in our Indian terminology, and then the mental plane of consciousness. This is the plane of ignorance, where you see the many and you think it is real. Then when you make your mind silent, or even without making the mind silent, you are able to go to the self. You enter into the spiritual planes of consciousness, which according to Sri Aurobindo are 4. For his convenience: higher mind, element mind, intuitive mind, overmind. Above the overmind is the third level, which is qualitatively quite different from the others. In this gradation from higher mind, element mind, intuitive mind, and overmind, there is a qualitative slightly, but more quantitative. It changes, but basic thing remains the same. But from overmind to supermind, it's a qualitative change. It's a totally different scenario. Okay? So, now he's talking about the overmind. In the supermind, very briefly to remind you, supermind is the link between the unmanifested Satchidananda and the manifested world. Okay, it's a link between the two. In fact, it's link, but also it's the power of the supermind. Maya is the power of the supermind to create the world. The Satchidananda, the unmanifest, when it wants to create the world, uses the tool of supermind to create the world. And that power to create is called Maya. We have done that chapter. So this is the situation. Now Sri Aurobindo is describing the overmind. In this supermind, there are 3 levels. There are really 3 levels. They overlap each other. But the first level is total oneness. Like the sea, if you think of it as a sea, the substance of the supermind is a sea. Absolutely silent, one, no movement at all. Only one. The second, because it's got the power to create. And creation means you must start vibrations. So, the waves start forming in the second status of the supermind, and each wave is conscious that it is part of the sea. What is that wave? The individual consciousness rising to that level feels itself to be one with the vast universal plane of substance, of consciousness, of power, of ananda, and also the these 4. Substance, consciousness, power, and ananda. You feel yourself to be one, but you are still conscious of your own individuality. You come down to the third level of the supermind, then the individuality becomes more important than you are being part of the sea. Faintly you remember that it is part of the sea, but you are more aware of your own individuality. Now from that supermind level you come down to the overmind. Now he is saying, does the sense of individuality become complete, or is there still some idea that you are part of the whole? So he is saying the overmind keeps still the sense of this underlying unity. So the unity is there, but it has gone into the background. In the supermind, it is quite clear. I am quite aware that I am part of my body is part of matter. My mind is part of the universal plane of mind. I am aware that my soul is the part of the divine soul. You are aware of that. But as soon as you come down to the overmind, the individuality increases. Vaguely in the background, he is using the word underlying unity. It's the background, the unity. Yes. I am part of the whole.
In the lowest level of the supermind,
Yes.
there is still total unity.
Yes. Very much. But there is a little more stress on the
On the individual.
Yeah, like my teacher used to tell me, in the first level, there is no color at all. In the second level, there is more blue, which is the sea, but the beginnings of green are there. The green is the individual. When you come down to the third level, the green is more important than the blue. He used to put it that way. Okay?
Jugal?
Jugalda.
Jugalda.
Yeah. He was a brilliant man.
Yeah. I was told that he could tell you where any sentence in any book of Sri Aurobindo's was.
Yes,
He'd give you the page number.
He knew everything. He was very good. Okay, so this is and now when you come down to the overmind, the greenness is there, 90%, maybe 10%, the blueness is there. The blueness is the unity. So this is what he's saying. The overmind keeps still the sense of this underlying unity. That is for it the secure base of the independent experience. What is the independent experience? The individuality. So you have become independent of your origin. Now you are beginning to understand that I am a wave, but I may have come from the sea, but that's not so important. I am more conscious of my own form of the wave, how my height, my speed at which I am traveling, my characteristics.
But is ego there?
Pardon?
Is ego there?
No, absolutely not.
That's
The ego
important.
disappears even at the level of the higher mind. The ego disappears. The individuality remains. Again, the ego is a formation of nature. As soon as you go out of your nature, which is your body-mind life, ego disappears. You are not subject to body-mind life. You are subject not to ego either. But the individuality remains. And that individuality is not the limited thing that we think we are. Remember that. So, again, how to explain the individuality which is infinite. I have that one example of the grain of salt. It's the individual. It's got form, shape, color, size, everything. But the moment you put it into water, the form, shape, size, color disappears. But does the individuality disappear? And what is the individuality in essence? The saltness. It's there everywhere. That's a cosmic consciousness. So you feel yourself to be everywhere. So that remains. But the Buddhists and the Mayavadin don't even want that. They want absolutely to merge into the infinite. But Srimad says, no, retain your individuality and come down into the physical world. But this time, don't become a prisoner of your body-mind life. Don't become prisoner of your sattva, rajas, tamas. Master, come down and be master of them. That's Srimada's view. So now we go to the next sentence. So independent experience is clear. Independent of what? Independent of your origin. Independent of the sea. The wave is now having an independent life. It doesn't depend on the sea anymore. But that's a basis. If that is not there, this won't happen. It's something like the river which is flowing cannot exist if the glacier is not there. So the glacier is the base, but once the river comes out and is approaching the sea, it has forgotten all about the glacier. No? So, okay. So, in mind, the knowledge of the unity of all aspects is lost on the surface. The consciousness is plunged into engrossing, exclusive, separate affirmations. So, in mind, when he's saying, he is talking of our normal mind, but he's putting M cap. So, part of this remains also in the spiritual planes of consciousness. Okay? You are aware of the oneness, but the individuality is more important. So, in mind, the knowledge of the unity of all aspects is lost on the surface. The consciousness is plunged into engrossing, exclusive, separate affirmations. So, do you have the cosmic consciousness in you? He's saying, yes, it is there, but it's in the background. You're not aware of it. It's in your, deep inside your building. It is there. That's what he's saying. You can recover it. You have to go into the intraconscient and recover it. Okay? So, it's lost on the surface. The consciousness is plunged into engrossing. Let's look at each word. Very interesting. Engrossing, exclusive, separate affirmation. Now, look at it. Engrossing. You are absolutely plunged into what you are doing. Engrossing. Okay? Exclusive. Everything else is shut out. When I am reading the Life Divine, I am not interested in essays on the Gita or anything else. I am not interested in my home. I am not interested in what is there for dinner. I am not interested in what's happening elsewhere. I can bring my mind back to it, but no. That is the exclusive. It is excluding everything else and concentrating it. It's like a mechanic who is repairing a motorcycle. He is putting all his attention only on the mechanism. That's exclusive. He is excluding everything else. He knows he has a sister at home. He knows his address. But all those things have gone into the background. So that is exclusive. This is the sense in which he uses the word exclusive. Separate. Quite separate. You and I are separate. This book and this is all separate. But actually it's not separate. That book, your body, this and me are all matter. But we have forgotten that. Knowing mentally is not enough. You must have the experience of it. Okay? So, each word, engrossing, exclusive, separate. But he is using the word affirmation. In other words, it is not an unreality. It is real. Whereas, because if you go to the spiritual plane of consciousness, it becomes not affirmation but negation. Clear?
Non-affirmation but negation.
Yeah, now for us, everything is real.
Yes.
Affirmation. When you go to the spiritual plane of consciousness, it's not an affirmation, it's a negation. The world is unreal. All shadow forms. Okay? So, see, each word is so important. Okay? So, but there too, even in the mind's ignorance, the total reality still remains behind the exclusive absorption and can be recovered in the form of a profound mental intuition, or else in the idea of sentiment, in the idea or sentiment of an underlying truth of integral oneness. That is there inside you. And you can recover it, not easily. You can recover it. Okay? So, in the spiritual mind, level 2, this can develop into an ever-present experience. He is talking of the lowest one in mind, but now he is talking of the spiritual mind, which we call level 2. Higher mind, illumined mind, intuitive mind, overmind. This can be the awareness of the integrality can be there. It can be an ever-present experience. He is not talking of the supermind, he is talking of the level 2.
And in level 2, if there is a feeling of oneness.
Yes, that's what he's saying.
Mm-hmm.
And it can be more, it can be less, depending on the individual.
Right.
Yeah. Okay? In the level 2, the experience of unity is there because cosmic consciousness is possible. even at the higher mind level, cosmic consciousness is possible. Okay? They are not at the supramental level. They are at the spiritual plane of consciousness. So many people have the cosmic consciousness. Then, but the ego has disappeared. Remember that. The ego has disappeared. You are aware of it. And your individuality also is there to a certain extent. Who is experiencing all this? The individual who is not the grain of salt, but the saltiness. Okay? Wide. He has become infinite. So, into an ever-present experience. And he's saying that this truth which is there in you, even in the ignorance, can be recovered. But how? By yoga. By going deep into yourself. It is there in the intraconscient. Okay? Again, I remind you about the intraconscient. It is that which you are, an individual, is a condensation of the universe. Whatever is there in the universe is there in the individual. And that's why he can recover everything. In the universe there is matter, which is universal and vast, cosmic. You have a body corresponding to that. Exactly in the same way, the universal plane of energy, prana, which is there everywhere. You have a vital, which is a small formation of that vast, unformed energy. Then you have mind plane of consciousness, your individual mind is there. So everything that is there in the universe is there in you in computer language, zipped form, compressed form. That's why you can blow up this compression into the infinite. You can get a cosmic consciousness. Okay, so that's what he's saying. Now we go into the next para. We read the whole para first. All aspects of the omnipresent reality have their fundamental truth in the supreme existence. Thus, even the aspect or power of inconscience, which seems to be an opposite, a negation of the eternal reality, yet corresponds to a truth held in itself by the self-aware and all-conscious infinite. It is, when we look closely at it, the infinite's power of plunging the consciousness into a trance of self-involution, a self-oblivion of the spirit, veiled in its own abysses, where nothing is manifest, but all inconceivably is, and can emerge from that ineffable latency. In the heights of spirit, this state of cosmic or infinite trance sleep appears to our cognition as a luminous, uttermost superconscience. At the other end of being, it offers itself to cognition as the spirit's potency of presenting to itself the opposites of its own truths of being. And what are they? An abyss of non-existence, a profound night of inconscience, a fathomless swoon of insensibility, from which yet all forms of being, consciousness, and delight of existence can manifest themselves. But they appear in limited terms, in slowly emerging and increasing self-formulations, even in contrary terms of themselves. It is the play of a secret all-being, all-delight, all-knowledge, but it observes the rules of its own self-oblivion, self-opposition, self-limitation, until it is ready to surpass it. This is the inconscience and ignorance that we see at work in the material universe. It is not a denial. It is one term, one formula of the infinite and eternal existence. So same speaking of superconscient and the inconscient.
But it's very beautiful, isn't it?
Fantastic.
Not a denial. Nothing here is a denial.
Nothing?
Nothing here is a denial.
Yeah, that's right. It's only a hiding.
Yes.
It's not a denial.